Have you ever wondered about old murder cases that were only recently solved? Enter Johnny Whited, a seemingly ordinary man with a haunting secret. 25 years ago, he committed a crime that would shroud him in guilt and remorse for over 2 decades. A crime so severe it would cost another man his life. This chilling narrative began in 1995, when Whited, overwhelmed by guilt, made a phone call that would change the course of his life. He dialed the Decatur Police Department to confess to a murder he had committed a quarter of a century earlier. When detectives met with Whited, they were met with an eerie calmness. Whited's confession was not a frantic, remorseful apology, but a detailed recounting of his actions. Every word, every minute detail he provided matched the evidence the police had been painstakingly gathering for the past 25 years. This was not a desperate attempt to clear his conscience. This was a man ready to face the consequences of his actions, and face them he did. With his confession, Whited was charged and arrested, his new home becoming the cold, unforgiving walls of the Morgan County Jail. The tale of Johnny Whited serves as a chilling reminder of the doors that can be opened when the past refuses to stay buried. His unexpected confession not only brought justice for his victim, but also sparked a glimmer of hope that other cold cases might also find resolution. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The idea that a single, unexpected confession can unravel decades of mystery and uncertainty. But sometimes, it's these unexpected confessions that lead us to the truth, no matter how gruesome it may be. Christopher Daly, a 26-year-old man, disappeared mysteriously after attending an employee meeting. Daly was a diligent worker, serving at the Huntsville Hilton Hotel. One fateful afternoon, around 3:20, he mentioned to a colleague about a meeting he intended to have in Decatur. However, he left out crucial details like who he was meeting and the purpose of the rendezvous. When the day turned into night, and there was no word from Christopher, his family's worry turned into fear. On April 26, 1995, they reported him missing. Unfortunately, on that same day, 2 teenagers, a boy and a girl, stumbled upon a gruesome sight. They found Christopher's lifeless body, a discovery that would scar them for life. They immediately alerted the police, who rushed to the scene, located just off a former logging road at Mallard Fox Industrial Park. The police didn't just find Christopher's body. A few miles away, his tan 1983 Toyota Tercel was partially submerged in the Tennessee River. A rock was tied to the car's accelerator, a failed attempt by the murderer to sink the vehicle and perhaps conceal the crime. The coroner, Gene Shelton, established the cause of death as a single gunshot wound. Christopher's wallet and ID were also recovered from the vehicle. Yet with all this, the case was far from being solved. There was no known motive, no suspects, and no witnesses. The murder weapon was never found. The case hit a dead end. It went cold. With no leads and no answers, Christopher's family was left in the dark for 25 years. In November 2020, Detective Sean McAdam received a phone call he would never forget. The line crackled with a voice from the past, a voice burdened with the weight of a secret carried for many long years. The caller, a man, confessed to a murder committed many years prior. An admission, as shocking as it was unexpected, echoed in the silence of McAdam's office. Detective McAdam, a seasoned officer, was no stranger to the bizarre and the inexplicable. But this call, this confession, was something beyond the ordinary. The caller's voice was calm, almost detached, as he spoke of a crime that had been lost in the annals of unsolved cases. A crime, he claimed, he had committed. McAdam's initial reaction was one of skepticism. In his years of service, he had encountered pranksters, attention seekers, even individuals with delusions of guilt. Yet there was a certain sincerity in the caller's voice, a raw honesty that was hard to dismiss. The implications of the call were enormous. If true, this could mean the resolution of a case that had turned cold long ago. It could mean justice for a life brutally taken, and closure for a family that had waited for answers for far too long. But the confession also carried potential risks. If this was a ruse, a trap laid by someone with sinister intentions, McAdam could be walking into a dangerous situation. The detective was well aware that the world of crime was unpredictable, that it often blurred the line between truth and deception. Yet, despite these reservations, McAdam was intrigued. The pieces of a puzzle that had remained unsolved for a quarter of a century were now threatening to fall into place. The mystery of Christopher Daly's disappearance that had haunted the detective and the Decatur Police Department was on the verge of being unraveled. Detective McAdam could not have foreseen how this call would change everything. The voice on the line, the confession it carried, had set in motion a sequence of events that would bring to light a truth that had remained hidden for over 2 decades. A truth that would finally answer the haunting question, what happened to Christopher Daly? In another part of the country, a young Girl Scout's murder case lay unsolved for decades. This tragedy dates back to the late 70s. A vibrant young Girl Scout full of life and promise was found lifeless in a wooded area nearby her home. The discovery sent shockwaves through the small, tight-knit community, leaving them in a state of fear and disbelief. The Girl Scout, known for her infectious smile and kind heart, was last seen heading out for a usual afternoon of door-to-door cookie sales. When she failed to return home that evening, a frantic search ensued, culminating in the heartbreaking discovery of her lifeless body. The police were called to the scene immediately, their presence a stark contrast to the peaceful woodland setting. Despite the urgency and the tireless efforts of the investigators, the case was riddled with dead ends. The lack of any substantial evidence or witnesses left the investigators puzzled and frustrated. The Girl Scouts' family, friends, and the rest of the community were left in a state of despair and uncertainty, their questions about the tragic event left unanswered. As time passed, the case grew colder. The Girl Scouts' murder became a haunting memory for the community, a painful reminder of the senseless violence that stole a young life away. Despite the relentless pursuit of justice by the Girl Scouts family and the local law enforcement, the case eventually faded into the annals of unsolved crimes. The years turned into decades. The once vibrant memories of the Girl Scout now faded and worn with time. Yet the lack of resolution remained a painful gap in the hearts of those who knew her. Decades passed without any leads, leaving the Girl Scouts family without any closure. In the world of cold cases, patience is a virtue and persistence is key. In the case of the Girl Scouts murder, tireless efforts from investigators coupled with advancements in technology led to a breakthrough. Forensic science has advanced significantly over the years, enabling detectives to reanalyze old evidence with new techniques. DNA evidence, once too degraded to be of use, was now the key to unlocking the mystery. The retested DNA samples led to a match, revealing the identity of the Girl Scouts killer decades after her tragic demise. Meanwhile, the unexpected call that Detective Sean McAdam received was the missing piece in the puzzle of Christopher Daly's murder. The man on the other end of the line was Johnny Whited. He was ready to confess to the murder he had committed 25 years earlier. Whited's confession aligned perfectly with the evidence from the case, leading to his arrest. After years of uncertainty and heartbreak, the resolution to Christopher's case was finally within reach. The connection between these two cases was the relentless pursuit of truth and justice. Regardless of how much time had passed, dedicated investigators worked tirelessly, refusing to let these cases be forgotten. Technological advancements provided the tools, but it was human determination that brought these cases to their resolution. But let's not forget the crucial role of human conscience in these resolutions. Whited's confession, though late, was an act of contrition that helped bring closure to a long-standing mystery. It's a stark reminder that our actions, no matter how far in the past, can catch up with us. These cases serve as a reminder that even the coldest cases can eventually be solved, bringing closure to the victims' families and justice to those responsible.